Welcome back to my channel Psychology. Facts about women. The hidden truth about female nipples. Few aspects of human anatomy generate as much curiosity, misconception, and social tension as the female nipple. Although small in size, this particular part of the body carries an enormous psychological and cultural weight. It's often misunderstood, over-sexualized, or entirely censored, depending on the lens through which we choose to view it. But behind all the social noise lies a far deeper truth. Women's nipples are biologically essential, neurologically complex, and psychologically charged in ways that most people rarely stop to consider. Let's begin with the biological foundation. Women's nipples serve a vital evolutionary purpose that transcends any cultural narrative during pregnancy and following childbirth. The nipples become a critical conduit for sustaining life through breastfeeding. This act alone defines the biological foundation importance, but nipples are far more than just feeding mechanisms. The skin surrounding them, known as the areola, is densely packed with nerve endings and smooth muscle tissue, making them highly sensitive to even the lightest touch or temperature change. They are responsive, reactive, and deeply connected to the hormonal and emotional rhythms of a woman's body. Now here's where it gets interesting. If nipples are present on both men and women, why does society view them so differently? This brings us to a concept in psychology known as sexual dimorphism and perception. The idea that the same trait is interpreted in radically different ways depending on the gender of the person. It's attached to a man's bare chest, is casually accepted, seen at beaches on TV, and even in advertisement. A woman's nipple, however, is met with censorship, cultural conditioning, disapproval, or even controversy. It's not the anatomy that's different. It's the meaning we've been taught to assign to it. This double standard isn't grounded in science or function. Instead, it's shaped by cultural conditioning across many societies. Strict modesty norms have framed the female body as something inherently provocative or taboo, leading to the sexualization of even its most natural features. Yet in other parts of the world, particularly in indigenous and tribal communities, breasts and nipples are treated with normalcy and acceptance. Psychology research shows that our emotional reaction to body parts is not innate. Its learned exposure plays a critical role when we're consistently taught that something is forbidden or shameful. It becomes psychologically charged, even if it's biologically neutral. Consider this in societies where women's breasts are openly accepted as a social programming part of the body used for feeding comfort and everyday visibility. There's significantly less public discomfort surrounding them. But in cultures where the female chest is routinely hidden, blurred or banned, even the slightest glimpse of a nipple can feel scandalous. This isn't because there's something inherently shocking about it. The shock is a reflection of social programming, not natural instinct. And here's a scientific twist that might surprise you. Studies in neurology have revealed that nipple stimulation activates the same brain regions as genital stimulation, the somatosensory cortex. The area of the brain that processes touch is lit up during nipple contact. Just as it is during intimate contact with the genitals for women, the nipples aren't just biologically responsive, they're neurologically hardwired into emotional and sexual pleasure. This explains why nipple stimulation can be both nurturing, mental health, and arousing. Depending on the context, this dual role makes the female nipple incredibly unique. It serves not only a functional maternal role, but also contributes to emotional bonding and pleasure. That's not contradiction, that's complexity, and yet instead of appreciating this complexity, society often oversimplifies or vilifies it. This leads to confusion, insecurity, and shame, especially among young women trying to understand their bodies in a world that sends mixed messages. It's also worth exploring how this confusion impacts mental health. Women who grow up in environments where their bodies are policed or sexualized without consent often struggle with body image issues, anxiety, and even disassociation from parts of their own anatomy. When a natural feature becomes a source of shame rather than acceptance, it disconnects individuals from their own sense of autonomy and comfort. Conversely, open conversations and body-positive education can lead to greater self-acceptance, empowerment, and healthier relationships, not just with others, but with one's own self. What's truly remarkable is how society manages to sensationalize something that's not only biologically natural, but essential. The discomfort isn't born from the nipple itself, it comes from the silence, the censorship, and the misunderstanding surrounding it. And the only way to change that narrative is through awareness and education. When we begin to see the female body through a scientific and psychological lens, rather than a purely sexualized one, we open the door to healthier cultural norms and a more balanced sense of gender equality. Let's not forget that even within female experiences, nipple sensitivity and emotional response vary greatly. Some nipple sensitivity, women report intense stimulation and pleasure from nipple contact, while others experience mild or no arousal. Hormonal changes during menstruation, pregnancy, or menopause can also heighten or dull this sensitivity. This range is natural and normal. The key is understanding one's own body without comparing it to unrealistic or external standards. Also, interestingly enough, the nipple has become a battleground in social and digital media spaces. Campaigns like Free the Nipple have emerged not to shock, but to challenge the idea that something so natural should be hidden, censored, or used as a metric for morality. These movements aim to deconstruct long-standing taboos and help redefine how society interprets female anatomy. The real issue isn't whether nipples should be shown or not. It's about who gets to decide and why that decision carries so much social weight in media. A man exposing his chest raises no eyebrows, but a woman doing the same could result in bans, remove posts, or outrage. The internet's algorithm often reflects these biases, flagging female nipples as inappropriate, while allowing male counterparts to pass through unchecked. This inconsistency isn't just frustrating, it's psychologically damaging. It reinforces the idea that female bodies are inherently shameful or hypersexual, creating a mental divide between what is and isn't considered acceptable. In the end, the female nipple is a symbol not of provocation, but of how society chooses to engage with femininity, biology, and emotion. It represents both care and complexity, both function and feeling. To reduce it to a taboo is to ignore its richness. To embrace it with understanding is to allow women greater conclusion ownership over their bodies and stories. Conclusion: women's nipples are not merely physical features. They are symbols of nourishment, emotional intimacy, and misunderstood power. Their importance lies not in how they look, but in how we choose to understand them. They are neurologically significant, culturally distorted, and psychologically essential. The real shock isn't their existence, it's our collective failure to understand and embrace them fully when we replace shame with science, censorship with conversation, and stigma with awareness. We don't just change how we view the female body, we transform how society honors it. Thanks.